welcome into another Whoosh Weekly Roundup with me, Louie. Remember, if you're enjoying the channel, to like, comment, and subscribe. It really helps YouTube get these videos out to more people. So, with that in mind, let's jump into what books I picked up from my local comic shop this week. We're going to lead off with a storyline that I've kind of delved into quite a bit on here, and that is Fall of the House of X. This week we had Fall of the House of X issue number 3 come out. This is the farewell variant cover. I don't know, I just thought it was a really cool cover. I love all of the X-Men on here, so it's really cool, and to see Apocalypse, and it's done just so well. It just looks really great. I've talked about the Fall of the House of X before. The X-Men never get a happy ending every time they get some sort of solution that seems like it's going to be good for them. Well, that's not how it works. No one wants that, apparently. So, we're getting a reset again. But Marvel has already announced their plans, so make sure you double check that information and see what you can look forward to. Going along with that, we also have Dead X-Men number 3. I talked about issue 1 pretty much in depth on here, where they've resurrected some X-Men to go on a mission to find Moira McTaggart, who was cloned by Mr. Sinister, to find the right one, to get the right information. It's a little bit of a convoluted story, but it's good. It's entertaining. And here we have issue 3. The only one my shop had left was this variant, so I picked it up. It's an adorable variant, but it's not one I normally would have picked up for myself had they had the normal cover. But it's still pretty cool, and honestly pretty stoked to have it. I guess it actually turned out to be a pretty fun cover, so I can't complain about that at all. Next up, we have a pretty big Star Wars week. There's 3 books in total. The first up is Star Wars High Republic Adventures book number 4 in what I believe is series 3 of these runs of comics. This one is important. There's a lot of key significance to it in the sense that it's a lot of first appearances. Whether those will turn out to be major keys or minor keys, I couldn't tell you. But that is a pretty big significant thing about this book this week. So if you're into collecting your Star Wars first appearances, making sure you have the keys, this is one I would go out and get. Especially if your shop has any left for the cover price of $3.99. So yeah, definitely check that out. And if you haven't checked it out yet, highly recommend. I've mentioned it before, the first run from Marvel Comics to issues 1 through 10 of the High Republic, where they introduced a slew of new characters in there too. It's set before all of the events we know from the Skywalker series. But it's really good. The only character that really connects all of it is Yoda, because as we all know, Yoda is about 900 years old when we start seeing him. He's old, he's wise, and he's the one kind of connecting glue back to that era, so they still have something there for you if you're a fan of the original trilogy, but they introduce a lot of new things which are really cool. So definitely go back and check that out. Next up, we have Darth Vader number 44. This one, honestly, I haven't read it yet. I do know that he hires a team of cyborgs to help him hunt somebody. Vader apparently really loves hiring other people to handle his dirty work, is what I've gathered. The thing that surprises me more, honestly, though, is that Vader has made it to issue 44. Not because it's bad, because it's a pretty entertaining story. But I just didn't think they'd want to delve that far into Vader. I feel like the more you touch on Vader, the more you have a chance of kind of ruining his mystique, and not the character from X-Men. But like, he is a character who genuinely is intimidating, and yeah, you lose that a little bit at the end of the original trilogy when he comes back to the light side and stuff like that, but this is building him up to be a scary character, and I almost worry that the more they delve into that character, the more you lose that intimidation factor from him. So I'm just surprised that of all the series, this one ran 44, is at 44, probably, and is continuing on. But Bounty Hunters ended at 43, and that seemed like it had a lot more legs to do more things, maybe away from the main story. Maybe we'll see them pop back up, but who knows? And the reason I mentioned Bounty Hunters is the third Star Wars book that came out this week is actually one of the series the creators moved over to, and that is Star Wars Mace Windu number 2. It's pretty of a story so far. It's building towards something I hope is better. Basically, they've taken Coaxium and they've kind of hyped it up, made it better. and there's a smuggler who stole some of it, and the formula wiped the scientist's mind and put out a call for somebody to help get her off planet and pay her for the formula, and that'll be cool. That call goes out to the Jedi and a bunch of other people. And the Jedi answer the call by sending Mace Windu. They share a planet. Like, they're both from the same home planet. They see it from, like, an inoculation. I don't know. It's weird. I'm not going to lie. I don't know. Usually Star Wars is pretty much spot on hit after hit after hit after hit for me. And it's not a bad story. I just don't know that it's grabbed me yet. It feels similar to the way I feel about Gang War, in that I'll read it, and I'll probably keep collecting this, especially more than Gang War because it's Star Wars. I just needed to do something to pull me into the story more, and it hasn't done that yet. So I guess we'll see. I don't know. It wasn't bad though. It wasn't bad. It really wasn't. Next up, we have an issue that I'm collecting all of them before I read the whole story, and that is Avengers Twilight, Book 4 by Chip Zdarsky and Daniel Lacuna. And the reason I'm collecting all these is, one, it interests me that the Avengers are the bad guys, and I'm still pretty sure it's the Thunderbolts they're fighting. But the covers are amazing. Like this Thor cover, and I'm going to put up a picture so you can see it better than with this glare, is amazing. It's so cool. It pulls you in. Like, they're just very powerful images for the covers of the heroes we know and love. But the Avengers are bad. So what is that story going to be? And I want to read that all at once, so I'm not left with the cliffhanger, because I genuinely don't mind that comics run the way they do, where they come out once a month, maybe twice a month, depending on if they're bi-weekly, but a lot of the times it's once. But I like sometimes getting that full story. So I'm kind of saving these up until I get there, but we'll see. Next up, we have an Amazing Spider-Man homage cover that I'm just now realizing I'm blanking on the issue. I believe it's 45. It is. So, Amazing Spider-Man number 45, which has a What If Avengers homage cover, where we have Goofy as Captain America, Donald as Iron Man, Daisy as the Wasp, Minnie as Scarlet Witch, Pluto as Thor, and Mickey as Quicksilver. So, interesting that they made... Okay, solid choices, Disney, I guess. We're just not going to dive into that. I keep collecting these because I love these homage covers of, like, the Disney characters. My wife's a huge Disney fan, so we go to Disney. They own Marvel, obviously. They own Star Wars, so obviously a big Disney household. And these covers make me laugh, so I love collecting them. That's basically the gist behind that. Next up is a book that's near and dear to my heart. I talked about issue 1 in depth on here, having met Amy Jo Johnson at Rhode Island Comic Con, having just a really, really deep moment with her. And she was there. She was doing an amazing job hyping up this comic book she had just written in the 30th anniversary, a short story that kind of leads off as an intro into this series, which is amazing. I backed it on Kickstarter. I'm really, really excited. I like the story so far. This issue was a little weird. Issue 1 was good. But we have Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, The Return, number 2. And it's interesting because Trini's daughter shows up to... Daughter, I guess, based after this issue, shows up and asks him about being a Power Ranger and so on and so forth. And then turns into Rita, sort of, maybe? It left me a little confused at the end, I'm not going to lie to you. They talked about, like, what happened, how Tommy died, and I don't want to spoil a lot of it for you. Like, go back and read that. It's an interesting story. It's very heart-wrenching to see how Tommy died in this universe. I'm confused by the end, and I need issue 3 to come out so I can get some kind of clarity before I give an honest-to-God judgment on this book, I think. But this book left me more confused, and maybe that's a good thing. I have questions. I want to know the answers. I don't know. I really don't. But I'm excited to see how they wrap this up, because I believe it's only 4 issues. So we got 2 to go. Very, very excited to see how it goes. And it's not bad. It's just one of those, it leaves me on such a cliffhanger question that I'm not sure if I'm confused or if the story didn't tell it well. And I need issue 3 to kind of clarify what that was. So we'll see. But definitely check this out, especially if you like the Power Rangers at all. It's an alternate universe. Things are different than everything Jason Trini and Zach don't leave for the peace conference. It's not the same as the Boom one where it's not really a peace conference. It's different. But it's good. It's good, and it's really cool that Amy Jo Johnson's helping write it, and I think that's cool to have the original Pink Ranger back. So definitely go and check that out. We're wrapping up with my runner-up for Pick of the Week this week, which was Symbiote Spider-Man 2099, which in the book it notes takes place after the original Spider-Man 2099 43 run. I don't know where that falls in there. Honestly, I really don't, because a lot of the miniseries don't follow that same tagline. Obviously, they don't have the legacy numbers on them because they're kind of subtitled like this one: Symbiote Spider-Man 2099, Spider-Man Genesis, Spider-Man Dark Genesis, like kind of that type of thing. So they don't fall into the legacy numbering. So it's really hard to tell where exactly it falls in. But we see Venom 2099 kind of going on a rampage, and Miguel O'Hara is running the corporation now, and he tries to tell one of his scientists to get rid of the symbiotes that he's experimenting on, but the scientist seems to think he has control over them and sicks them on Spider-Man 2099 when he shows up, because the scientist isn't getting rid of them, and Miguel realizes that, so he goes dressed as Spider-Man, and then the symbiote turns on the scientist and takes over Spider-Man. I don't know. It was good though. It was just one of those like weird Spider-Man books where like Venom was more interesting to me, and 2099 Punisher 2099 showed up, and it was really cool. It was interesting. It was definitely different. That's why it's my number 2 pick of the week, because it was different. It did grab me. It did keep me interested until the end. I just don't know if we're overkilling it with some of the Spider-Man stories, and symbiotes are always cool to me anyway, but I don't know. I'm a little concerned about that overkill thing. But it was really interesting. It's a good start to whatever this run is they're going to do with Spider-Man 2099. So that's why I got runner-up for Pick of the Week. Now, my Pick of the Week goes to a ridiculously interesting choice that I don't think I would have picked as my Pick of the Week before I read it. Like, I wouldn't have had it as a prediction. But that is, What If Venom number 2? And in this series, Venom is kind of going around the Marvel Universe and taking over other Marvel superheroes after Spider-Man, Peter Parker, got rid of him. So in issue 1, he takes over She-Hulk, Jen Walters, and then she eventually kicks him off. And in this one, we see Sabretooth is hired by somebody to basically get Wolverine to be near Venom, so Venom can take over Wolverine, and he does that, and then he puts Wolverine in like this mind prison where he's being experimented on as Weapon X, and Wolverine has to break out of that and then kind of go hunting for Venom. I don't know, it was a weird, interesting choice, and like Doctor Strange shows up. Like, he doesn't have to go hunting for Venom. He, like, takes over. Somebody shows up actually looking for him. I don't know. It was cool. It was interesting. It was different. And then they keep teasing that Doctor Strange is somehow going to end up with the Venom symbiote. So I'm interested to see how that goes. But this was a good kind of thought-provoking issue where Wolverine had to go and face his own past to be able to break free and take control of the symbiote, because the symbiote kept him in prison because of his own guilt of his past actions. And you even see that storyline or that theme run through the entire story, because Sabretooth looks at Wolverine and goes, I don't worry about my past. I'm not ashamed of it. And, like, I don't regret it and these type of things. And it gives this hint that Wolverine is stuck the way he is because he hasn't faced his past. He hasn't moved on from it. He hasn't forgiven himself for it. So it was a really interesting take on that. And genuinely, I really enjoyed the read. So check it out. The What If Venom run is pretty fun so far. They're doing a lot of really, really fun, cool things with the What If run. And I don't know. If you enjoy that stuff, definitely check that out. With that said, and if you're enjoying this content, make sure that you're liking, commenting, and subscribing on the videos. And we'll catch you here next time on Whoosh. Thanks.